Hello. Today we're going to talk about the layered architecture of AgileWiki. And I started working on layered architecture in AgileWiki 4. This was a partial success, although, when I looking at the code, I often think that it would be clearer if I just didn't have layers. The dependencies weren't quite worked out when I did AgileWiki 4. So AgileWiki 5 in this area is a cleanup. So AgileWiki consists of a number of jar files, one for each layer, and then in addition there'll be plugins. Okay, so there are 5 layers to AgileWiki 5. 5 and 5, yeah. Okay, so the first one is the kernel layer, and then the core, and then the actor, and then command and web. Maybe not the best names, but they work. So the kernel layer is where we implement the database access routines. This is where we do the cow database thing. We've got our transaction processing in the kernel layer, and we define all the elements of roll-ons in the kernel layer. So a roll-on is made up of a fixed number of different classes, and no limit on the number of elements in a roll-on, but we do fix the number of classes. The second layer is the core layer, and in the core layer we define relationships. So we've got 3. We've got the parent-child relationship, we've got qualifiers. You could think of these as keywords. So you can do a search for all the roll-ons with a given qualifier, and you can do a search on all the qualifiers for a given roll-on. The third relationship is just a generic relationship, and it's a triple. It's a 3-tuple. So you've got the relation, the subject, and the object. So given the relation, you can see all the subjects. Given the subject, you can see all the relations and all the given the subject and the relation, you can see all the objects. Given the object, you can see all the relations. And given the relation and the object, you can see all the subjects. So there's a lot of different ways of searching. Where a subject, an object, and a relation are all roll-ons. Okay, so that's core. It focuses on what we call partness. That is to say, how a roll-on relates to other roll-ons. Actor. The actor layer is where we start using actors. We don't use Scala actors, we use lift actors, because Scala actors are persistent and they're backed by a relational database, and we don't use any relational databases. We don't do object relational mapping. So we use lift actors, which are not persistent, and we attach roll-ons to them to gain the persistence when it's appropriate. So the actor layer provides all the different kinds of accesses that are implemented in the core, all the abilities to create roll-ons and relationships, just all done now with actors. In addition, we also have UDP socket, so that we can interconnect different arcs, different computers running the AgileWiki, and then we have a reliable protocol implemented as an actor. We have another layer on top of that, another protocol for transporting reasonably large blocks of data between arcs. By reasonable, I mean they need to fit in memory, and comfortably. You don't want to occupy all of memory with a single block. Okay, so that's actor layer. So it gives us our protocols, and it allows us to do queries and updates across a farm of AgileWiki servers. The next layer is the command layer, which we haven't done too much work on yet. This is where we'll be putting in users, user login, things like that. We're going to define, as we did with AgileWiki 4, we're going to define user groups, and that's just going to be another relation. A user is a member of a user group. Then we're going to have permissions. So different users and different user groups will have permission to use different commands. And then, of course, access control. So that depending upon who the user is or what group they're a member of, they may or may not be able to access or update various roll-ons in the farm of databases. And then finally, we get into something a little more interesting, more interesting than a distributed database, with the web layer. That's the last layer, and that is where we have already integrated Jetty 7. We will be integrating Comet. The web layer contains a templating engine built entirely out of actors, which allows us to access data spread across the farm of databases. So it's like the top layer, it's right below the application. So applications would then be plugins, which would make use of the web layer and of course command access support, and all be implemented as actors. So that's it then. The 5 layers in AgileWiki 5 are kernel, core, actor, command, and web. Thank you.